Hi, Gemini. It's Denise, and today I'm here to discuss the horoscope for April of 2026. So, this reading is for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, not necessarily in that order. It's really the rising or the ascendant, the sun, and then the moon. They're all important, but I would say that that order is a little bit more appropriate. And so, at the beginning of the month, Gemini, we have the full moon in Libra. Okay, so I already have a video on that. Check that out if you'd like. And so I talk all about that. And so we have at the beginning of the month, though, the planets are aligned in your 10th house of career, social status, and social roles. And this is the house of authority and ambition. It is. And we also have some of the planets in your 11th house of friends and social connections. This is the house of hopes and wishes and gains, usually financial gains, or usually from the 10th house of career. But this is also the house of the future. The 11th house is very future oriented. And why is that? And Aquarius is the natural ruler, but it's not in Aquarius right now. You're the energy for you. But the 11th house is um, it right before the 12th, of course, but the 11th is about the future and the 12th can be about ending. So maybe there's something going on there between the 10th and the 11th, right? But here we have, and that will be happening. The planets are aligned in those houses until the 19th, when the sun will enter Taurus. I mean, for the most part, right? We have Mars, the planet of action, entering Aries on the 9th, Gemini. This is amplifying courage to create something new for yourself, perhaps related to career or your ambition, right? We have Mercury. That is your natal Mercury, and that is the planet of thinking and communication. So Mercury rules our plans, our ideas, our goals. It's the intelligent sign, so to speak, right? Also rules Virgo. It's a little different in Virgo for sure. But Mercury will be conjoined with both Uranus, not Uranus, but Neptune and Saturn. And Neptune and Saturn are basically, Neptune is your imagination and your intuition, where you're very idealistic and kind of you want to create something, but it can be like, or you just believe very idealistic, where that can happen for me, right? That can, right? But sometimes it is so fantasy sort of that it's not realistic, but we have Saturn stepping in. So we need both. We need Neptune supporting our dreams and our visions, right? Kind of encouraging us to surrender to the divine. This is how we believe in our dreams and our visions, right? After we kind of accept the divine. That's how I see it, and that's how astrology sees it. But we have Saturn as well, and that Saturn will be there to support, to put form to and structure to your dreams, right? So Mercury wants you to kind of, analyze things before you move forward, and you guys are pretty good at that because that's your ruling planet. On the 16th, Gemini, the Sun will get together with Chiron. And, this happens every so often. It hasn't been there for quite a while. I would say almost a year now because the sun's making its kind of yearly, right, as it moves through Aries. And then, it will be back, in another year. But the sun is, yeah, it takes a year for the sun to go around, right, the zodiac. And so the sun will be conjoined with Chiron. So this is in Aries in your 11th house of the future, right? The house of friends. There could be something you're becoming the house of the future, the house of hopes and gains and wishes and things like that. But that right there could be something that you are becoming more resilient about. Maybe you're just like, hey, I'm not, afraid of the future anymore. Afraid's kind of a hard word, but Gemini is usually pretty good. It's a mutable sign, but there's a lot of things that are, I have a rising, Gemini, ascendant in Gemini. So, it doesn't mean that, we're completely mutable and it is a mutable sign, but we can adapt everything all the time so easily, right? It depends on our chart. It definitely does. And so, but there's something you could be kind of overcoming or becoming more resilient about around the 16th when the sun will conjoin Chiron. Okay, Chiron wants us, it can be our wounds, but it can be psychological insecurities as well. And, with reflection, Chiron is supporting, hey, you can overcome these things with your mind, basically. That's really the kind of the idea there of Chiron, right? And the sun is a sense of yourself. So this can allow you to rise above something and overcome it. Could be, can be very personal, Gemini, because it's in a very personal sign, Aries. Um, and that is in your 11th house. It is, as I was saying. It could talk about sometimes the 11th house is also the collective, maybe, and it can talk about kind of fitting in. Chiron in the 11th can sometimes talk about, oh, I don't feel like I fit in so well, right? And so the new moon, we're going to have the new moon in Aries, Gemini, and I'll do a separate video on that, and that's going to happen on the 20th. Your natal Mercury will conjoin Mars. This is very powerful for you as you move into the future. So, when Mercury and Mars are conjoined, it's Mercury is saying, hey, let's analyze this, let's think about it, let's make a plan, let's evaluate it, things like that. And Mars will be there with the courage and the assertion, right? Yeah, okay, let's do it now, right? So you could be doing something that it maybe with social media, possibly. Um, but Mercury and Mars will support your courage for sure. And for you, and also the ability for you to express yourself more boldly or more powerfully, Gemini. And so I'm sure you might appreciate that, right? It depends, but we all, Geminis, a lot of Geminis are podcasters. Yeah, they are. And so, maybe that's important for them to kind of express yourself more powerfully there. Could be. Now, Venus enters your sign on the 23rd, yes. Okay. And this is going to support your relationships, your financial stability, and this will encourage self-love and self-care, Gemini. All right. After the 23rd um, of the month. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me here. Yeah. We'll see you in the next video. If you've enjoyed my content, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like a reading with me, I'm also a psychic. I do tarot readings. I have all kinds of great astrology readings. I'm a past life practitioner. These are all really powerful for us to understand ourselves at a very deep level because it's so empowering, right? Thank you so much, you guys.